What's next? This afternoon, we will be visiting with former state senator of the state of Georgia. We will be talking about some of the things that she did while she was in the Senate, as well as some things that she's doing now. She's a social activist, a poet, and a very nice person. So, if you will, let's greet Miss Donzella James.
Hello, it's good to be here. How you doing?
Thank you, Ms. James. Thank you for joining us. This afternoon,
for inviting me.
Yeah, we want to talk this evening. We want to talk to you about several things. One of the things that you were doing in the Senate, I believe, was working with the reorganization of the drunk drivers law.
Yes.
Could you tell us about that?
Well, let me just tell you that when I first got elected, my son left home to go to the store, and he got hit by a habitual drunk driver, and it took his life. I was a brand new legislator, and I didn't realize that a person who had 5 DUIs already could be having a commercial driver's license and be driving an 18-wheeler.
They could be operating on
actually
highways.
Operating a vehicle of which he made a weapon out of it because he was impaired. He would drink and drive. So he took my son's life, and it was just it tore my heart apart, and my whole families have changed our lives. So as a result of going through the court system and trying to understand what had really happened, it made me try to straighten up the laws so that nobody else would have to go through what we went through. So I did pass laws on habitual drunk driving. So now on your 3rd DUI, it's a felony. And then you lose your license forever if the judge decides that. And also the teenage driving laws, I was able to change those. Even though my son knew how to drive, I wanted to make sure that all young people knew how to drive by the time they got that little card that says that they were able to drive.
And I've noticed that there have been, in the last year or so, there have been a lot of teenagers who were killed while driving under the influence. And that has also been a problem, I think, in apprehending people who are driving under the influence and teenagers who are driving. They changed the laws here in Georgia. I don't know whether they did so in other jurisdictions, but they changed the laws where it would require that, it's been some time ago, it would require a teenager to have at least a year of driving before they can get...
That was one of my bills. That passed.
Oh, that was your bill?
Yes.
Right, they changed the laws.
Because I wanted to make sure that they were able to drive, really know how to drive, and drive defensively as well before they got their driver's license.
Oh.
And then also I wanted the parents or guardians to be part of it.
So to be liable for anything that happened in the interim. Oh,
and also we passed something that said that the insurance could go down if they went to driving school and took
driving
and passed
classes,
it.
right.
Yes, and passed it. So they would get a break on the insurance for the automobile.
So if they had a certificate for defensive driving, they would have lesser. Her insurance would be lesser.
Yes, it
would
would be a discount. Yes.
Right. Oh,
that's we work with the insurance companies throughout Georgia to do it. So we changed a lot of laws to just make the roads safer. And also I had Safe Drivers Awareness Day every day at the every year during the session at the Capitol. And we would bring all the law enforcement persons, especially those who were directly looking at DUIs and assigned to that. We would bring them up there, as well as teenagers that were in the 11th and 12th grade from different schools in the area. And we just applaud all the news people who highlighted drunk driving and just gave awards and celebrated. And that day we encourage everyone to be vigilant when they're out there on the roads and have their headlights on so that everybody would know that they were observing Safe Driving Awareness Day.
Oh, now has that been made like a ongoing thing?
Well, it was ongoing when I was there, and you know, things have changed since I left the state capitol. I left because I retired, and I wanted to offer myself to serve on the next level of government, which was Congress. But to no avail. I attempted, and we did very well. But that's the only reason I left the state senate. I had been there long enough to retire, and I had passed 279 bills, probably more than most people, more than anybody in history, probably.
That brings me to something else that I was thinking about. You, in your run for Congress, during the time that you was in state senate, were you able to do anything about the insurance or the benefits of the elderly and the disabled?
Yes.
Because I know this is something now that our President-elect has been talking about, having the health care for the elderly and for disabled and this type of thing. Health care for people in America to be less.
Well, health care was a priority because I saw so many people suffering and hurting, and so many senior citizens who couldn't afford to pay for their medication, and those who were disabled who did not have the proper insurance of Medicaid or Medicare. You know, they were also, they had no other thing to do but to either not pay their bills and buy medicine or die. So, you know, I said, something is wrong with this when Canada has the same drugs from the same companies, and they pay 50 to 70% less in Canada than they do here in the United States. And then I started doing my homework and looking at other countries where these same pharmaceutical companies made the same medicine there, and so it was cheaper, even in Mexico and places like that, and overseas. So that's when I put a prescription drug bill in for a real one. And it didn't pass the first year, but I continued to try to put it in, so they passed a part of it. And then I was very proud that later, when they were discussing it on the national level, that they actually looked at my bill almost completely mimics the bill that they passed. So I'd like to think that they may have done their research and my bill was one that they liked.
Well, that's good to know. You know, I understand. I may be wrong. Correct me if I am, but I was under the impression that England had a sort of a national health care thing where if you were a citizen of that country, you would not have to pay for health care.
Many of the countries the places over there.
In Europe.
Yes, in Europe. Most of the countries do have it. Now, what happens is there's a universal health care.
Universal health care.
And that was something that we talked about a whole lot here, and I wanted to see us really get that. And I think we're going to have some form of that under Obama. I'm very proud and honored that this man is going to be our president.
Well, he had talked about that.
Yes.
He talked about it in his campaigns. I think he mentioned something about it.
Yes, he did. He did. He mentioned what he would do, and but he has to, of course, have Congress to pass it, because as the president, he can't pass it. He can have a package. And so I hope that you know, I know it's going to be controversial, because anytime it infringes on the biggest lobbyists in this country, and that's the healthcare, the pharmaceutical companies and the insurance companies. If it's going to take money away from them, they're going to be mad. And so they want to go and encourage all of the legislators to vote for them rather than to vote for the people. Right. So I hope that they'll take the politics out of it in these days, with the economy in the shape that it's in because of the failed economic policies of George Bush. I mean, what can we do now but try to come up to the bottom? We're past the bottom. We're the gutter.
Oh yeah, I would like to inform our viewers. if you have any questions, you can just text them in, type them in, and if you have questions for my guests, you can just type them in, and we'll answer them for you online here.
Thank you.
Also, now, I wanted to talk with you about you're a social activist. You're doing a lot of work out in our society now. You're working with in conjunction with our political system, but you're working with other people in the area. What are some of the things that you're getting done?
Oh my! Well, I'm the co-chair of Keep South Fulton Beautiful, so I volunteer my time to do that. And what we do is try to encourage recycling, reducing, composting, and et cetera, et cetera. Right. We try to make sure that we reduce the waste stream so that we'll have less landfills that will have to come up into the different communities.
Keep us environmental friendly.
Yes. Yeah. And of course we concentrate on the air and the water, and especially the water in the Chattahoochee, that we have to live by. So that's one thing. And then I work with Tapestry, and that's Tapestry Ministries, and it's for teenage mothers and their babies. And so we try to, these are young people who, may not be criminals at all or anything, but they had a baby, and they are under 18. And they chose to have their baby, but they need to get out of the environment that they're in. So we put them in nice homes. They have to go to school. They have to get their high school diploma. Most of them go on to college. And then they have to take care of their baby, but we have baby sitters for them. We have the nurseries. They choose to go. It's a ministry, so they go to church. And they learn life skills. And it's a beautiful thing. So that's one thing. But my biggest, the one that's to my heart right now is working with the Haitian community. And so I have a radio program that I'm the co-host on, and that's Radio Haitian Voice. And it comes on every Saturday and Sunday on 8:60 a.m. Or on the internet you can get love860.com, which is LOVE 860.com, every Saturday and Sunday from 6 to 7. So and then what happened is I went to Haiti. I got invited to go by the Prime Minister and others, who were there, because they had 4 hurricanes in a row. And I went there not to go on a vacation, but to go on a fact-finding mission with a delegation. And we went throughout Haiti. And the first thing, when I got there, I was so amazed that this country that was so poor was so beautiful. The natural, God-given scenery from the airplane when we landed just was breathtaking. And, and that just opened my eyes and my heart. And as I continued to go in and meet people and go around that whole country. And I actually went, I say it was a 12-hour roller coaster ride, scream machine ride, because we went on a car. And we went up and down the roads, and sometimes there was no road.
It's quite hilly. It's quite hilly in that. In the Caribbean, usually most people always think of Caribbean as being less fortunate and poor in a poor country and poor nation. They don't think of how beautiful it can be, how wonderful it is in those areas, because usually you have like the beaches, white sand,
yes, beautiful,
very, very, very white
beautiful,
sand,
yes,
and the water is blue,
yes,
very blue,
crystal clear. You can see, you can go out a half a mile and see to the bottom.
And you have mostly like in the Caribbean, you have the fruit trees and these types of things, which actually is healthy.
Definitely,
it's healthy, and it's healthy for the people there.
And but the thing with Haiti is that many of their fruit trees and things get washed away. They're right in hurricane's eye, and so we need to go and help that country. When other countries have such devastation, the United States and many other countries go over and help them. But I don't see a lot of that. It was like 2 weeks after Hurricane Ike that I went. And when I went, we went to one of the biggest cities there, and it was underwater. We saw the kids walking around with knee deep or waist deep or higher water. And in order to get from one place to another, we saw people digging out the mud out of their houses because they had nowhere else to stay. They had to stay on the rooftops just to survive. And this was 2 weeks after. It was that devastating. They had to use City Hall for a hospital. And so that was in the middle of town, so it wasn't damaged as bad as everything else.
It sounds somewhat like Katrina.
Yes.
In the New Orleans area.
They don't do them right. You know, when other people come to this country, once they put both feet on the ground, they can stay here. But if a Haitian comes, they want to send them back. So we have to make sure that even with this new administration, that we look at the laws and make them fair and just. Why are they doing that? We could speculate, and we don't want to say. We don't want to criticize the government. We need to look at it.
There was something mentioned about the immigration laws ending campaign during that time too. And matter of fact, there's a lot of political things that have been coming up in this recent election that you've been working with as well. Yeah.
I've been very excited because, I ran, and then in the primary I did not win. So it was just 42% of the vote. But that was good, but good is not good enough if you don't win. But I didn't go and hide my head in the sand. I'm not an ostrich. I was proud that people thought enough of me to come out and vote for me. But that was behind me at that point. It was time to move on and try to help other good people get in office. So I helped the Obama campaign. I volunteered too. Didn't get any salaries from anybody. Didn't want it. I just wanted to do whatever I could. And so as a result, we were able to get a lot of good people elected. 2 or 3 that I wanted elected didn't win in November, but such is life.
That brings me to this question too, because since you were the state senator for 2 or 3 terms, and that would make me wonder.
A little bit more than that, from 93 to 2003.
Yeah, well, okay.
A little bit more.
That was 5 terms.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm wondering about is, why didn't you run for for the Senate of the United States?
Well, first of all, to run for that is only 2 senators for the state of Georgia.
Right.
And it costs a tremendous amount of money to run for that. And I was just being led by the Spirit to run for Congress. And so I would have been in Congress, but on a different level, not in the U.S. Senate. But we would have still been, that's the 2 bodies, of course, of federal government. Right. And I wanted to offer myself to serve, and it was just difficult because I couldn't, my opponent had spent $1 million in the primary to my little $30,000. So I got 42% of the vote with no money. But I'm sure that, if I was always for the people and not the politics. I was always working with the groups, not the banking committees or the big lobbyists. So I never did get the big contributions and didn't really want them. I wanted to just help the people. I wanted to raise enough money just to win that particular seat so I could make a difference instead of making $1. And so, I guess it carries over when you get to the next level. If you have not already, if you've been working against the pharmaceutical companies and the big corporations, then it's difficult to get money. And so Obama did it though. So they're not as hope.
And that's one of the things I'm thinking. You can get in the race and you can do as much as you possibly can. And there may be those who understand that you are not quite as financially aware as most. Mm-hmm. And you might find that they will assist you. They will give you some.
He got $5 and $10 and $25 contributions.
This is true.
And he made it for President of the United States of America.
And we're going to see if we can't get you to move up and maybe become senator for the United States of America.
Thank you. You know, I want to do whatever I can to help change things. And that's what attracted me to Obama. He was talking about change. And I looked at his record, and as a state senator and as a congressman, he had voted the way I would have voted. So I got really excited about this young man. I said, wow, he might really seriously be able to make a difference.
And the difference, it should be a wonderful, well, it should be wonderful on January 20th when he's sworn in, and
Yes.
hopefully he will have a very easy transition. However, it must be.
It won't be very easy. Nothing is. But you know what? He has already hit the ground running by immediately putting together a great cabinet and also appointing people in those 7,000 appointments that he could make. He put the right people together so that it wouldn't just be him.
Well, considering that, I'd just like to venture one question out.
Sure.
I know you did make it to the Congress in Washington. However, you may have some views on this matter.
Okay.
I'm curious, because there was 2 wars at the time of his running for president, there may be 3, possibly 4, was the uprising in Israel and in the Gaza Strip. What are your views on the situation that's happening now in the Middle East? I'm not talking now. I'm not speaking now about what's happening in Pakistan.
Okay.
I'm not going to talk about what's happening in Pakistan, because this is where I was thinking maybe there may be 4.
Well, you know,
And there may be one in Israel and Gaza in Gaza Strip. There may be one in Pakistan. There is one in Iraq, and there may be one, and there is one also in Afghanistan. So the 2 that was already present on the forefront before he won. Now there's possibly 2 more after he won. What do you think about this situation in the Middle East?
well, I'm opposed to the war. I'm opposed to sending our troops all these places to fight, unless it was a threat to us. So I understand that war happens. But Iraq, I don't think we should have been in the first place. And too many people have gotten killed, and hundreds of thousands of Iraqis have gotten killed. Now, when you look at Israel, I hope that they will not have a war. I've been to Israel 17 times in the past 5 years as an ambassador for peace. And I've worked with the UN when I've gone there, and they've been travel around with them. And I actually, even before Arafat died, I was able to meet with him on 3 occasions. And I, in the West Bank. And then I actually went to the Gaza Strip 4 of those 17 times that I was there, and spent the night one of the times that I was there. And the very place that I spent the night, I saw got bombed this week. And that was just a neutral place. So I was very upset to know that these people, we were working to bring them together. So when Sharon and Arafat was still alive, they were beginning to talk. And that's what has to happen. They have to talk first. You'll have to open the line of communications. And everybody's upset with everybody. It's tit for tat. So we just might be having another war, but I hope not. And as far as Afghanistan, we shouldn't have been there either, but we're there. Well, if anything, that's where we should have been first, because that's where they said the person who was responsible for 9/11, that's where they thought he was hiding. So why did we go to Iraq instead? So, war is nothing that I'm for, but it's a reality. And so we have to have a president that understands and who does not want to see our troops lose their lives, but also wants us to be protected and wants the United States to continue the tradition of helping other nations. So I think that whatever happens, we're going to make a good decision.
Okay. It seems that we have questions from our audience. And I thought we might have had questions from our audience, but we don't.
Well, they can call me personally at 404-625-8855. 404-625-8855 if they want to ask me a question. I know that this 30 minutes it was very short because we had a lot to talk about.
Well, yeah, yes, we did. And I'd like to have you back on my show again.
I would love to come back anytime.
That's
Just let
good.
me know.
Now, what we have is we have almost we've almost expired our time, but I did want to share some things with the public. One is coming up next week on our show. We will have Cinnamon Baldwin. We'll have Cinnamon Baldwin on our show. She's co-founder of the Clayton County Wide Homeowners Association.
Yes.
And we will have her, and I'm thinking we possibly may have a guest, a surprise guest star with us as well next week. And
I know Cinnamon.
And good. And
She's
we're hoping
great.
And we're hoping that you all will join in, visit with us next week. Also, we're accepting sponsors and we're accepting guests. So if anyone would would like to be a sponsor or guest on the show, you can get in touch with my producer, Karen Hansen. You can get in touch with her at kphansen@helloworld.com. And also, I'd like to remind all of the Hello World members that tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, there will be a Hello World group chat, Rich Minds Online. Tonight at 8 o'clock, there will be a networking party from Hello World group chat, Rich Minds Online. And for all of that, we'd like to say happy holidays. Join us next week. God bless and good night.